Have you ever noticed that in today's world, the men who are the most brutally honest, the ones who put it all on the table, are often the ones women quietly walk away from? While the men who shape their image, control their narrative, even conceal parts of themselves, are the ones women end up respecting? This isn't a theory, it's reality. Scroll through social media and you'll see it in plain sight. The man who confesses his insecurities, his failures, his endless needs, becomes invisible. Meanwhile, the man who projects confidence, mystery, and strength, even if it's carefully constructed, is the one who commands attention. Nietzsche once said that people do not want the naked truth. What they crave are illusions that make life bearable. And nowhere is this more obvious than in modern relationships. Women, like men, respond not to unfiltered honesty, but to the performance of strength. Think about dating apps. The profiles that succeed are rarely the most authentic confessions of who someone really is. They are carefully curated images, selective truths, staged glimpses of a life that looks desirable. This is not deception in the sense of malice. It is the recognition that respect is built on perception. Look around at the men who hold power in relationships, in business, in culture. They are not the ones who bare their souls without filter. They are the ones who understand the dance of appearance, who know that life is a stage and that survival belongs to the man who plays his role with precision. This is the uncomfortable truth Nietzsche exposed. Women respect the men who deceive them, not because they want lies, but because they respect power. And power always speaks in symbols, never in raw confessions. Women respect the men who deceive them. At first, this sounds cruel, almost insulting, but look closer at the world around you. In today's reality, the men who play by the book, who reveal everything about themselves from the start, rarely hold long-term respect. Women may praise their honesty, but deep down, they drift toward the man who knows how to control his image, who hides his weakness behind strength, who creates a story larger than his flaws. Scroll through Instagram and see what women actually respond to. The men who are admired are not confessing their loneliness or fears in long captions. They are showing power, lifestyle, direction. Even if it's not the whole truth, the illusion works. Respect follows. The so-called nice guys who insist that radical honesty will win them love often watch as the very women they long for gravitate toward the men who project dominance, mystery, or success. It's not fair, but it is real. This is not about manipulation in the shallow sense. It's about understanding that human beings crave stories more than facts. A man who says, "I'm struggling, I'm lost, I'm unsure," may be telling the truth, but that truth doesn't create respect. Meanwhile, the man who presents himself as unshaken, as if he has direction even when he doesn't, is treated differently. His presence creates security, and that security is what women align themselves with. Modern relationships prove it every day. On dating apps, in workplaces, in social circles, the men who build a persona, who refine how they are perceived, move forward. The men who insist on being completely transparent get sympathy at best, pity at worst. Respect is reserved for those who shape perception, not those who dump reality without form. And that is the provocation. People say they want the truth, but the evidence of daily life shows otherwise. Look at how modern culture operates. Social media thrives not on reality, but on filters, staged photos, and carefully selected moments. The profiles that gain admiration are not the raw, unedited versions of life. They are illusions crafted to spark desire and respect. If people truly valued pure honesty, those unfiltered snapshots of loneliness, boredom, and doubt would be celebrated. Yet they aren't. They are ignored. The same pattern plays out in relationships. A man who reveals every insecurity, every weakness, may believe he is building intimacy, but in reality, he erodes respect. His honesty doesn't elevate him, it diminishes him. Meanwhile, the man who understands that truth is often unbearable, and who instead presents the version of himself that inspires admiration, becomes the one women respect. This doesn't mean he never struggles. It means he doesn't hand those struggles over for judgment. He edits what he reveals, the same way everyone edits their online presence. Modern dating makes this clear. The man who curates his image, whether through confidence in his words, discipline in his body, or success in his work, commands far more attention than the man who says, "Here I am, take me as I am." The world does not reward raw exposure. It rewards mastery of illusion. Even corporations know this. Brands spend billions not to show us the whole truth of their product, but the version that captures imagination. If illusions dominate markets, why would love and respect operate differently? The lesson is not that women despise truth. It's that respect belongs to the man who knows how to shape it. The raw truth may exist, but illusion is what creates loyalty. Every man wears a mask, whether he admits it or not. Modern life proves this. In job interviews, no one shows their worst habits. On first dates, no one lays out their deepest flaws. People present the version of themselves that is most effective, the version that gives them the best chance of moving forward. And women, despite claiming they want authenticity, are drawn to the man who wears his mask with skill. Think of nightlife. The man who stands in the corner confessing how tired or anxious he feels is quickly forgotten. But the man who enters with confidence, even if he had to summon it artificially, is the one who draws attention. Women don't respect him because he revealed everything. They respect him because he controlled the performance. It's not deception in the sense of cruelty. It's the recognition that life is a stage, and respect goes to the man who plays his role with precision. This dance of appearances is everywhere. In politics, leaders are rarely respected for blunt honesty. They are respected for projecting certainty, for embodying the mask of stability, even when the truth is chaos behind closed doors. The same principle applies in relationships. A man who understands that his mask is not a lie, but a tool earns more respect than the man who strips himself bare in the name of truth. Women are not drawn to every detail of a man's reality. They are drawn to the story his presence communicates. The mask is that story. The dance is how he moves with it. When the mask is worn with strength, women don't feel deceived. They feel captivated. And in that captivation, respect is born, not for the naked truth, but for the man who knows how to dance with it. Look around in today's world, and you'll see the same pattern repeat itself. Strength is magnetic. Weakness pushes people away. In relationships, this truth is undeniable. A man who constantly shares his struggles without showing control over them loses respect quickly. Women may feel sympathy, but sympathy is not respect. Respect belongs to the man who appears unshaken, even when life presses against him. In modern dating, you can see this play out in real time. A man who shows discipline in his body, focus in his career, and composure in his emotions is instantly set apart. Women admire him not because he has no problems, but because he refuses to be consumed by them. On the other hand, the man who broadcasts every doubt and fear becomes less attractive, no matter how honest he claims to be. The world doesn't reward the confession of weakness. It rewards the demonstration of strength. Social media again offers proof. The men who gain admiration aren't the ones crying into the camera about rejection or loneliness. They are the ones showing control, whether through fitness, ambition, or lifestyle. Even if their lives aren't perfect, the image of strength commands respect. Women are instinctively drawn to that projection because strength signals safety, leadership, and stability. Weakness, by contrast, drains. It burdens. And when a man places that burden on a woman, she may comfort him, but deep down, respect fades. Modern relationships collapse under this mistake. Men confuse vulnerability with dumping insecurity. They think honesty guarantees loyalty. But respect doesn't rise from pity. It rises from strength. And the man who knows how to project strength, even while fighting his own battles, is the man women respect. Because strength attracts, always. Weakness repels, always. Modern relationships reveal a harsh divide between two types of men. On one side is the seducer, who understands timing, appearance, and the subtle art of suggestion. On the other side is the brutally honest man, who believes that baring his soul is enough to earn love and loyalty. Watch how women respond, and the difference is undeniable. The seducer knows that attraction is not built on a list of facts, but on experience. He doesn't announce every thought or expose every insecurity. Instead, he controls the frame, revealing only what strengthens his image. He keeps mystery alive. He knows when to speak and when silence says more. Women respond to him because he doesn't hand them his entire reality. He invites them into a story, and the story is what captivates. The honest man, by contrast, confuses raw exposure with intimacy. On the first date, he talks about his struggles, his failures, his past heartbreaks, believing that openness proves authenticity. At first, a woman may nod and smile, but inside, respect is already slipping away. What he sees as vulnerability, she experiences as burden. What he calls honesty, she feels as weight. This contrast is visible everywhere, from dating apps to workplaces. The men who rise are not the ones confessing everything. They are the ones who craft perception, who understand that influence is about what you withhold as much as what you reveal. Women admire the seducer not because he lies, but because he knows how to lead. The honest man, meanwhile, becomes invisible, trapped in the belief that facts alone create respect. In reality, respect belongs to the man who shapes experience, not the man who exposes everything. The seducer leads the dance. The honest man stumbles off the floor. Modern society often repeats the idea that women only want equality and transparency in love. Yet when you look past slogans and into reality, the story is different. Women don't admire men who simply sit beside them as equals in weakness. They admire men who take the lead, who impose direction, who embody certainty when the world feels uncertain. Respect is not given to the man who waits for approval. It is given to the man who moves with conviction, even if it means hiding doubts beneath control. You can see this clearly in relationships today. When a man hesitates, asking for permission before every decision, the bond begins to erode. His honesty about not knowing what to do may sound good in theory, but in practice it drains desire. Women may comfort him, but their respect shifts elsewhere. Contrast this with the man who sets the pace, who defines the terms of interaction, who guides rather than asks to be guided. Even if he conceals parts of himself, his presence feels stronger. That strength earns respect. Look at dating culture for proof. Women chase men who stand apart, who create an aura of control. They rarely chase the man who exposes every uncertainty. The difference is not cruelty, it's instinct. Just as people look for leaders who project stability in chaotic times, women look for men who project authority in relationships. This doesn't mean domination in a harsh sense. It means recognizing that the feminine admires direction, not surrender. The man who knows how to shape, to conquer in the symbolic sense, holds the advantage. He doesn't need to reveal all his doubts. He channels them into decisive action. And in that decisiveness, women find what they are wired to respect: the man who leads, not the man who begs to be led. Every relationship carries a hidden struggle. It may look like harmony on the surface, but beneath it runs a constant current of power. The man who understands this dynamic moves ahead. The one who ignores it gets swept aside. Modern reality shows this everywhere. Women do not stay with the man who surrenders all authority. They respect the man who asserts direction, who holds his ground, who shapes the relationship, rather than being shaped by it. Scroll through countless breakups, and you'll see the same complaint repeat itself. Women leave not because the man lacked affection, but because he lacked strength. He became passive, dependent, waiting to be told what to do. His honesty about being lost or unsure didn't bring them closer. It pushed her away. Contrast that with the man who carries himself with conviction. Even if he hides his doubts, his refusal to collapse into weakness becomes the foundation of respect. Look at successful men in today's culture. The athletes, entrepreneurs, artists who command admiration rarely achieve this by exposing every vulnerability. They command because they project willpower. They create their own terms, and women are drawn to that energy. Respect doesn't follow the man who simply shares his feelings. Respect follows the man who bends circumstances to his vision. This isn't about domination in the physical sense. It's about influence, about embodying the will to power in love. The man who leads with direction, who controls himself and sets the tone, stands apart. The woman doesn't see him as flawless. She sees him as unshaken. And in a world where many men collapse under pressure, that unshaken presence becomes irresistible. Relationships may speak of love, but they survive on power. And the man who understands this truth holds the advantage. Nothing kills attraction faster than full exposure. The man who puts every detail of his life on display, his fears, his routines, his intentions, believes he is building closeness. In reality, he is draining intrigue. Modern women are surrounded by endless information. Social media feeds reveal everything: meals, trips, emotions, even private arguments. In such a world of overexposure, mystery becomes rare, and what is rare becomes valuable. The man who withholds, who allows curiosity to build, naturally commands more respect. He doesn't lie, but he doesn't hand over the entire script either. He understands that desire grows in the spaces between what is said and what is left unsaid. When he disappears for a time, focusing on his own pursuits, it creates tension. When he reveals only fragments of his thoughts, it creates depth. That depth is what keeps her respect alive. Proof of this is visible in modern dating. Men who chase endlessly, sending long paragraphs of confessions, rarely succeed. They kill mystery by over-explaining. Meanwhile, men who reveal less, who keep their energy directed toward their goals, become harder to read. That difficulty fuels fascination. Women may not admit it openly, but they admire the man who resists being fully known. Mystery also signals abundance. If a man's entire identity is available at once, it suggests there is little more to discover. But when he keeps layers hidden, it signals depth of character, a life too full to be consumed in one sitting. In today's fast-moving world, where attention is fleeting, that depth separates him from the rest. Respect thrives on mystery. It reminds her that she hasn't conquered him entirely. And as long as there is something left to discover, there is something left to chase. Human nature is wired to crave what cannot be fully possessed. This is why in modern relationships, the man who remains slightly out of reach often holds more power than the one who is always available. Women don't respect the man who gives himself completely without resistance. They admire the one who keeps something beyond their grasp. Social media makes this reality obvious. Look at how attention floods toward the man who appears busy, who posts sparingly, who seems focused on his own world. His scarcity makes him more desirable. Compare that to the man who floods a woman with constant attention, likes, comments, messages at every hour. His availability makes him ordinary, and ordinary never commands respect. In dating culture, you can see this dynamic at play with the so-called high-value man. He is not high value simply because of wealth or looks, but because he lives as though his time and energy are not easily given away. His career, his pursuits, his ambitions come first, and she has to earn a place within that world. That sense of difficulty, the feeling that he is not easily won, keeps her interest alive. Psychology proves this as well. People place more value on what requires effort to obtain. A relationship is no different. When a man sets boundaries, when he shows that his presence is not guaranteed, respect follows. The unattainable element creates thrill. Today's reality shows that men who give everything too soon often lose everything in return. The man who withholds, who lets her chase, who remains just beyond full possession, he is the one who maintains her respect. The unattainable keeps the dynamic alive. The too available fades into the background. And in love, fading means losing. Every man who has been in a relationship knows the subtle challenges that come from women. A sharp question, a sudden withdrawal, a shift in tone. These are not accidents. They are tests. Modern women, whether they admit it or not, are constantly measuring a man's strength. Not his physical strength alone, but his ability to maintain composure when pushed. The man who cracks under these tests loses respect. The one who holds firm, even behind a mask, gains it. Consider how often this happens today. A woman may pick a fight over something trivial, not because she cares about the issue, but because she wants to see if the man's calm is real or only an act. She may pull away emotionally, waiting to see if he chases in desperation or stands secure. These moments reveal whether his confidence is rooted in discipline or built on sand. Reality shows that women don't respect the man who spills every fear when challenged. He thinks openness will soften her heart, but instead, it weakens his frame. What she truly respects is his ability to keep control, to stand unshaken, to project stability even under fire. This doesn't mean he hides forever, but it means he understands timing. A test is not the moment to collapse. Proof is everywhere. Men who remain calm under pressure are admired, not only in relationships, but in life. The leader who doesn't panic, the fighter who doesn't flinch, the man who keeps his mask when the world tries to rip it off, he earns respect. Women instinctively know this. Their tests are not cruelty, but instinct. And the man who passes them by holding his frame, by keeping the mask intact, is the man they cannot stop respecting. In today's world, perception outweighs confession. The man who performs strength, confidence, and direction gains respect, even if behind the scenes he struggles with doubt. Women don't measure men by their private anxieties. They measure them by what they display to the world. The performer holds the advantage because respect is born from the stage, not from backstage confessions. Modern culture proves this every day. Look at the man who walks into a room with presence, speaking little, but commanding attention. No one knows his private struggles, and that's the point. His projection shapes reality. Meanwhile, the man who openly reveals every insecurity rarely draws admiration. He may be seen as real, but reality without performance inspires sympathy, not respect. Social media amplifies this truth. The men who gain followers and admiration aren't those who post about their weaknesses. They're the ones who show control, fitness, style, ambition, or calm under pressure. Whether every detail is true or not doesn't matter. What matters is the image. Women respond to that image because it represents strength. Even in personal relationships, the same principle applies. A man may feel doubt about his career, his future, his abilities. But when he carries himself with certainty, when he chooses action over despair, his partner respects him. The mask of performance doesn't make him fake. It makes him effective. The alternative, unfiltered honesty at every turn, creates instability, and instability destroys attraction. This is not deception for cruelty's sake. It is the recognition that life is theater, and respect comes to those who perform their role with conviction. Women instinctively admire the man who can hold the mask of strength, even while fighting private battles. Because in the end, respect doesn't belong to the man who exposes everything. It belongs to the man who performs strength when it matters most.